Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are from the world. Today, we're going to be talking about from burnout to flourishing. And I'm going to introduce you a new version of my Wellbeing Curve. And in our discussion today is also 8 key warning signs that you may be heading for burnout within the next 12 months. I created up this framework, if you want, the sentence about well-being, that it's your ability to flourish physically, mentally, and emotionally, no matter what the circumstances. All too often, we have a look at trying to control everything around us in order to influence how we feel. But what if it's actually all from internal, and how you feel will indicate how or dictate how you will react to the world around you? Because here's a key message I'm going to share with you today. Existing employee well-being programs have failed. They've failed. The statistics show it. Burnout is on the rise. Quiet quitters are on the rise. Engagement's down. Stress and depression are up. Suicide is up. This is the reality of the world we're living in. Hi there. My name is Tim Wagner. I'm an international speaker and high performance coach. And what I often speak about is that point where people hit overwhelm, where stress, anxiety, and dis-ease impact their personal and business life. Now, I'm into regenerative health, and as a hospitality professional for 27 years before I had to quit because of burnout, or feelings of burnout, I help teams to escape the relentless cycle of stress, to reclaim clarity, energy, and balance in life. And my key secret ingredient: breath work. As I use breathing techniques as a catalyst to create a state of change in people, as I believe we can all stress less and live and lead far more productive lives, impacting and being more successful, so fulfilling ourselves and those around us, both at work and home. And I often take my concepts from my 7-stage professional pointer program, which I've got running up on the screen here quickly. Now, I run this for small groups, I should say, in corporates, but also privately as well. So we start about breath of life. Everything for me begins and ends with how you breathe. It regulates your entire system. Understanding and helping people break down who you are. Once you know who you are and the basic concepts of who you are deep down inside, not programmed states, but the authentic ones, you can discover who you'll become. That creates this gap, this transition. Now we've got to fill this gap. So we help you align your values, your goals, your dreams in order to design the life that you're looking for and not leave it to default. Then we also need to bring in the mindset, how you think, your paradigms, how the brain, the subconscious, conscious mind thinks as well. Harmonizing the habits, bringing these things all together so that it becomes a transpirational experience for you. And then lastly, is about empowering. It's about empowering your authentic self and being absolutely true to who you are. Now, that's my complete program there. But today, I'm going to be digging into one specific area that drives people there. Now, let's turn back a little bit. And in the program, I talk about why you do things, not why you're here. Why do we actually need to relook at well-being programs? When you consider the statistics, and it's well publicized, Gallup does a lot of them, where they stated quite openly that for every $1 invested in employee well-being programs, the company sees return between $3 to $6. So here's a quick one for you. Before I triple my fees, click the link below, contact me, let's have a chat. Now, recently I spoke to over 100 professionals, HR professionals, at a webinar, a live event, and I asked them, employee well-being programs, and these were executives, HR executives from throughout Africa. There was 10 African countries represented. Employee well-being programs that you are presently running, how effective are they? 15%, only 15%. said that they're effective. I asked a further question to the same group of there's 140 HR professionals from throughout Africa, and I asked them the next question. How many people, on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being absolutely severe, who has received or found employee found dis-ease, imbalance, severe health issues as a direct relation to stress from workplace issues. 89% turned around and said 4 to 5, either very bad or severe personal health issues due to stress. Now, that's not a clear sign. I don't know what is. What is being done in employee well-being programs is outdated and absolutely ineffective. We need a complete shift of this. So, do you know who's burning out in your organization right now? They're potentially hiding it. They're smiling. They've got a mask on. I'm going to speak about that just now. Quietly fading away. They're producing the work. They're turning up, but they're not really there and fully engaged. If you didn't have anybody, we wouldn't be talking. You've got a lot of people. Perhaps you'll recognize some of these signs I'm going to share with you in your own self, in your own story. You see, my story was 27 years in hospitality until I became a quiet quitter. I didn't know what was happening to me. I didn't know why I was exhausted. I didn't know why I was numb. I didn't know why I was losing my identity. I didn't have relationships with my family and my wife. How I'm still married after so many years. Well, that's a miracle in itself. And I'd lost relationships with my clients and with my team. I went to my narcissistic boss. He didn't care or even notice. That did not go down well. I left without a plan, but I had no choice, or I thought I had no choice, because this incessant amount of stress had dimmed my soul. I was just disappearing. So I went in search of my authentic self. And after 3 years, I found my calling, that I now speak and coach other high-functioning teams to say, there is another way. You can avoid the silent slide from well-being to burning out. But it was my big breakthrough that came to me in 2024 when I read an article by Professor Kibler from Harvard. And he described a state of emotional exhaustion where high performers seem fine on the outside, but are internally disconnecting from their work until they suddenly and unexpectedly quit. Now, Kibler calls this state brownout. He talks about the stage where you're sitting and you're either going to slide into burnout or, like me, you're going to quietly quit. And a recent client told me when I was sharing this, feeling this sensation, this unknown space between anxiety and burnout. And she said to me, this is the first time somebody's actually understood and explained to me how I feel. I know I'm not alone, and I now know there's a name for this. But I'm a curious creature. I need to have a system or a structure. So I went and created one, and I call it the Wellbeing Curve. Let me bring this up for you quickly. Now, the Wellbeing Curve is here to help you identify where you are from a state of thriving in the top left section there, where you're high energy and high productivity, sliding slowly down when you've gone through the stresses and the anxieties, sitting in that stage of unknown, of brownout, sliding then into completely dysfunctional, unproductive, no energy of burnout. I've come to call this stage authenticity brownout syndrome. And ABS, for short from authenticity brownout syndrome, signals a complete misalignment between who you are and how you show up, resulting in this quiet disengagement that erodes innovation, resilience, and culture from within. Because you're wearing a mask. You turn up every day. You present yourself to how you believe or feel those around you need to act. So you put on this mask. It feels like you're being pulled like an elastic band. And I remember this sensation. On one end was this soul that I was living, this person, this existence, this inauthentic person. And on the other end was my genuine character. And the problem was, the harder I worked, the more I got pulled away. It was like that elastic band. And if I was not careful, that band would snap. Burnout. So instead of that band snapping, I let go. But I didn't know what was going on. And it was Kibler who helped me with that answer. Now, Professor Sexton from Duke University, he had a very interesting call that I was on last year, where he described that there's 8 key warning signs that if you can identify you are there now, or acting in this way, these traits, these habits, and even this unwritten culture that may have crept into your organization, if you can identify these 8, one or multiple of them, what Sexton warns is that you may be on your way to hitting burnout in the next 12 months. And the way that I look at this is saying, this probably means you're in a state of brownout right now, and yet you may not even know. So here's number 1, skipping meals. Don't have time to eat, skipping a meal. Where your body now doesn't get that nourishment. I'm going to break that down into details, but the importance of having that meal, not only that you've got the correct nourishment, but that you have that break as well. Then the second one is when you're skipping that meal, you're probably got a very poorly balanced diet. Now, one of my clients runs an IT company throughout Africa, and a lot of his team are on the road. Now, if they're not structuring their diet properly, when you're on the road, where do you shop? Garage forecourt, KFC, burger on the road, a pie from the garage. Eating a poor balanced diet. You may not notice today, but you continue to do that 2, 3, 4 times a week. Over 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, your body is going to start to crash. If you're not taking breaks during the day, it goes back to number 1 up there as well, where you're not having that proper diet, you're not having that proper meal, you're not taking the break, you're not getting up and stepping away from your workstation. I know some people say you got to step away for 45 minutes. Come on, I don't even do that. But I make sure that I'm doing it between meetings, that I get up and I walk outside, especially in the sun. Taking short breaks throughout your day. Arriving late home from work consistently. You're always struggling now. This is a big issue for me. The wife and I used to have this battle all the time. Now I'll be home by 6, 8 o'clock I turn up. Consistently late home from work. Impacts your home life, it impacts your work life. Difficulty sleeping. If you haven't got a proper diet, you're not taking breaks during the day, your mind's not shutting down, you're going to have struggle to sleep. Now, if you're not getting that consistent sleep, deep sleep, you're having 2, 3 REM sleeps, stages a night, your body, your nervous system is not getting a chance to reset. That means you're not waking up regenerated. Our bodies can regenerate their health, another passion of mine, regenerative health. Changing family plans due to work, that was me. Constantly. Family and friends, in the end, gave up asking my wife, where's Tim? They wouldn't even bother inviting me anymore because I would always change family plans. Work came ahead of family. No. Why else are you actually work in the first place? Or feeling frustrated by technology, not just upset or, oh, this computer, but absolutely losing your, fill in the gap, by technology. Builds that stress. This is just a sheer example of being emotionally impacted and negatively by the world around you, which you have little control over. Technology will fail you, but it's how you react to it that depends on the severity of your emotional state. You're in control of that. And the last one, sleeping less than 5 hours a night. So it's not just about having difficulty sleeping, but where you're getting less than 5, ideally 6 hours a night. And the experts that I'm also connected with know, and they say to me, 8 hours. Now, I believe each person is different. I find personally 6 hours, sharp. 5, not so good. But it's those consistent things. Now, here's a question. Does your unwritten company culture encourage these and the previous 4 behaviors? It starts with you. Bill Marklane said years ago, your company's culture is determined by how your employees feel on a Sunday night. So, do you embody these behaviors? Remember, your team is going to mimic what you do and not follow what you say. It starts with the leaders. It starts with the exco at the top. And you need to embed a well-being culture into the organization and into the learning journey in inception that it is a way, anybody who joins the organization, that well-being is a part of the culture. It is not an addition to the culture. That does not work. We've seen it over and over. So are you feeling disengaged, depleted, disconnected? Where are you on that well-being curve that I spoke about earlier on? Because the truth is, most people I speak to are on their way to burnout. We know the statistics. It's out there. It's well known. They're definitely not flourishing. Now, there's simple things that you can put into place, simple changes that you can put into place in your organization and effectively before it's too late and you just have to call 911, because there's nothing you can do when people hit burnout. And it starts with having a look at the culture change. What is that unwritten culture? Golf days, salad bars, and annual well-being days off do not work. You need to get proactive on it, because let's face it, your team's mimicking you as the leader. And as a leader, if you're sending emails at midnight, if you're skipping your vacations and always the first in, always the last out, and have the expectation everybody else has got to do the same to appear successful. Burnout is not a status symbol. There's a real cultural change that you need to take. So you need to retain your talent. You want to attract the right talent, especially the new Gen Zs. Got to change. Innovation is required under pressure. Navigate change for resilience and lead with a purpose. It's time to bring back healing, or bring healing, I should say, into the workplace. So what's easier, spending months and millions replacing the quiet quitters, or supporting those people in your organization who you've already invested heavily into, to support them, to help them slide back up to a state where they are functioning at their optimum? Because I imagine a world where leaders create workplaces that teams thrive because they feel seen, heard, and valued. So picture this. A world where companies have a culture that people don't just go to their job and survive, but they are transformed through their work. And it's our role to see the signs and stop the slide to save your talent. So if you found value in this lunch and learn that I run every Monday for 15 minutes, click the link below now. Join the Pathfinders community where there's loads of extra free added value. And now that you've noticed some of these signs, let's connect. Let's put some basic things into place so you can reverse engineer those 8 and go back from burnout to complete well-being and thriving. Till same time next week. Ciao for now.